All right, Trace, hello and happy weekend. And Connor, welcome back. Good morning. No, afternoon, sorry. Pardon me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, guys, I believe it's episode 95, Saturday today. So we're just going to go over see how things closed and go over Connor's trade. I don't have any open positions currently, but there's definitely some stuff to talk about, which is good. So before we've been sort of, lagging on, stuff to talk about in regards to the FX markets. Just briefly, Connor, I've just brought your Euro Swiss up. So this is in profit. So
Yeah.
your take
Well,
on
it's
this?
not in profit. I don't count profit till cash is off the table.
Oh, so unrealized, about
Yeah.
half hour or so currently. Unrealized, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's interesting how it sort of behaved. It's more bearish than bullish. Just looking at the chart, like on the daily. I'll bring up the 4 hour just to see how it behaved. Yeah, it does some pretty big candles, doesn't it, as well? Like, look at on the 4 hour, it's quite interesting. It'd be tough, for someone who trades like the lower time frame to really involve yourself with this. I mean, there's some wicks on these as well. Definitely want to be a little bit mindful of that. That's why it's easier to trade higher time frames, guys, because it's just more manageable and less stress, much less stress. So we were discussing off air, guys. Kind of your take on when would the stop loss be moved. If someone, for example, was watching this and might be short the Euro Swiss, I mean, what would you look to move the stop loss to break even? What would be the next sort of phase here?
Well, it wouldn't particularly specifically be to break even, so it would have to get.
Okay.
It's already got to a lower low, right? It sort of hit around the 1.121 mark, around there, but then it went back up, and it's close at like 1.125.
Yeah.
So if that was to retrace back up and then make another low, I would put it I would move the stop loss to the lower high, the lower low. Sorry.
Yeah, I get you there.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So which realistically would normally is around break even, but not necessarily. So yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be taking risk off the table a little bit, and I mean, just looking at the weekly candle, that's semi-positive, really. I mean, looking at that, it's quite interesting. It's got wicks both sides, so it's still thinking about what it wants to do. But previously, earlier on, there was a nice bearish candle that printed a little while ago on the weekly chart. I mean, that looks pretty good. So, like you said, it's making low lows, so it's definitely intact.
It has made a lower low. It also, you could see an argument for it. Oh, this is range bound. We'll see what goes on.
Yeah.
So I've just got to grit and bear it, see what goes on with the market, and don't change my plan.
Yeah, that's right. Because it could easily just. I think the time normally when you just like don't follow the plan, close the trade is when it rolls over, and you're like, oh, that the market just has an uncanny ability to just be like, okay, well, now we'll participate and we'll do something for you. Once you're out of the trade, which is always good. That's like, yep, thank you, Forex. Appreciate that. Okay, so that's Euro Swiss, guys. I've just got the USD CAD up now. So this one I have been monitoring, and I was monitoring gold as well, which is obviously we're going to go into details about how that's a little more challenging than the traditional currency pairs to trade. USD CAD for me, if I get the daily up, it closed. It was pretty good on the 4 hour. There was a candle for me on the 27th in the morning, and it was a pretty nice bullish candle. I was monitoring, I think it might have even been like the Aussie yen or something. I was caught up in something. I missed that candle, and I didn't take the other candle, so I was like, all right, I'm not chasing this. And it's sort of still around the entry price. So I'll see what it wants to do next week. And so this is a potential buy trade. I mean, on the weekly, it's had a pretty big run up. But it's established a trend at least now. So I'll pay attention to that. No particular setup is there quite yet for me. And then we'll go to the Euro Aussie. So Connor, you pointed this out. So we'll go to the Euro Aussie now, guys. Again, this is it's like a trend continuation sort of thing. And oh, this is nice. So it's sort of resting now and it's been pretty stable. And on the 4 hour, so
on the daily, it's really trending.
Yeah, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah, on the daily. Would have been nice. It's interesting how the Thursday candle closed with a bit of wick. So I might just wait and see next week how Monday, Tuesday wants to go. And then there's a little bit of resistance above, but it's nothing, too ridiculous. So it's definitely something I'll pay attention to and maybe see how it wants to test above the higher the wick there, and then sort of go from there with that. But that's certainly a point of interest. And one other thing that I've been monitoring as well, guys. So there's a few things going on this week. Surprisingly, even though it's this time of year, is gold. Obviously, there's been a lot going on in the U.S. markets and the government shutdown and whatever, and a lot of risk has been present. So gold sort of had a pretty big run up. But I actually did play this in this. There's two little dots here where I got in and got out just above break even, where I actually, so it moved pretty strongly in my favor. I moved the stop loss and then it sort of pulled back and I copped out, and then it moved pretty strongly after I got out of the trade. And I was like, well, there was no signal. I was like, no, I'm not touching this, and it sort of closed pretty strong. So on the weekly, it's interesting as well. Again, though, it's a little tough. Like, Connor and I were talking off air, and the monthly is definitely pretty range bound. So it's not exciting, really. Like when you look at the monthly, it really is good, isn't it? Because it sort of takes off the, this hype that really it's nothing particularly significant, and it could continue this range quite easily, especially with because it looks like the US markets, whatever happens, it's sort of it doesn't seem to correlate entirely with gold. Obviously, we've discussed this. I think you put out a video a little while ago about how hedge funds and institutions can manipulate the price of gold. They accumulate stuff. It's all a bit of smoke and mirrors. So it's you got to be careful, guys, not to just jump on board and not think about things and have any idea about a system, because it can get a little bit scary at times with how quickly things will change with gold. So yeah. Now I've got silver. I think I brought this up. So obviously silver's similar in the sense of, with gold, and that it can be manipulated. Obviously institutions love to just play fun and games with and everything. And you got physical stores versus, what's actually in the electronic markets and things like that, and spreads. It seems the spread is a little tighter on silver than gold, because it closed with 2 pip spread on my broker, and it was like 32 pip spread on gold. So it's certainly interesting. I mean, on the daily chart, so to you, kind of that's nothing, that hasn't proven itself yet. So it's been range bound for a while, well, a long while. Gosh, look at that on the daily chart. And then it sort of popped out a little bit recently. So, but again, to me, it is a breakout, but it could easily sort of collapse, especially where it closed at 1537. You can see it sort of tried to sort of break through there back in July, August of this year, and it didn't really care for that. So,
well, again, the COMEX market is highly manipulated in silver, especially by JP Morgan. JP Morgan owns something like 40%, around the 40%, 45% of all short trades on silver, which legally isn't allowed to happen.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's JP Morgan. They can do whatever the hell they want. So, again, is it an actual trend, or is it just being manipulated into something they want? That JP Morgan, Scotiabank, these sorts of people want to happen. So it's very hard. Again, just because it's a much smaller market, little moves really make it volatile. So these are a lot harder to trade, I find, by and large, compared to to just a basic pair on the Forex market.
Yeah, agreed. So that's something to pay attention to, guys. Like, obviously the weekly candle was strong, but in the same sense, things can, like Connor just said, can quickly change. Doesn't make a lot of sense. You're like, what the hell is going on? And also with the holiday period, lower liquidity, stop hunting is easier. So definitely and silver's a smaller market, so you want to like over in comparison to a traditional currency pair. So be cautious, because obviously people are watching gold and silver now with all the uncertainty going on in the economy. So something still to pay attention to. It's probably best just to have a holiday, really, with all the uncertainty going on and everything, and the market being quite volatile. So I think that's it for me. It was sort of a few currency pairs we covered there as well. Was there anything you wanted to touch upon as well?
No, I think the Euro Aussie is looking promising as for perhaps a breakout on the upside next week. If it did, I'd be interested in taking that.
Yeah.
And the US CAD.
Yeah.
But we've gone through that, yeah.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. I hope people learn a few things, especially with the holiday times and how it can affect the markets a little bit. But that's it. Any comments, please leave it in the section below. And I hope everyone has a great holiday. Thanks for watching. Connor, thanks for joining us again as well.
Thank you very much.